When I need answers about anything to do with personal growth, I go straight to my mom and my aunt. Here they are, Priscilla Babin and Tina Gilliat with the Sister Sauce. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sister Sauce. I'm Priscilla Babin, and I've got my beautiful sister Tina Gilliat with me.
Hi,
Are we
everybody.
on? Hi. Are we on episode 14 now?
14.
Holy smokes.
I
14.
know.
14, 14. That's I can't believe that's 2 weeks worth. Back to back.
Yes. So if anybody new starts listening to our podcast and they listen to one episode a day, it would take them 2 weeks to catch up. Not too bad. And then they would get to
Pretty
talk,
quick.
to listen to us every day,
How you doing on your resolutions?
I am doing good. I really, as you know, I didn't really have any resolutions other than to improve my quality of life by eating healthy and stuff. And that's all good. I'm doing good with that. But I'm doing the whole simplification thing too. My word of the year is simplicity. And so I took care of some things this week that I'm really happy about. Like I researched how could I do my website for free and reduce the cost of it. And I know it's not going to be absolutely free, or if it is, I might have to sacrifice some things, but I'm happy that I'm finding some options. And so I'm looking forward to sharing more about that at a later date.
I've been doing a little better with my few things that I wrote down. Of course, I always have a goal to make sure I'm drinking enough water, and I had kind of slid back on that a little bit the past year. So I've been trying to do better. So I've been doing better the last few days, especially drinking my water. And I did one good thing, which was I have a big giant whiteboard that I keep against the wall in my kitchen. Like it's tucked behind my kitchen table in the back where nobody sits. And every once in a while I bring it out where I can see it. But I had a list on it of to-dos, things to do that needed to be done on the house, outside, around the house, outside, like my garden. I need to paint my back door. I had painted my front door and the door that leads out my carport a real pretty color. And I then went out in the backyard one day and turned around and realized I have another door and I never painted it. And I've been putting it off because that door, that's, the back side of the house gathers a little algae and stuff on the siding and all. So I had to pressure wash. I pressure washed and I was going to paint after it dried. And that was like 6 months ago. So I got to start over. So that's on my long list. But I had wiped off most of the things for the indoors and I only had like one or two things left. And then my list for outside, and there wasn't a whole lot left. And I checked a bunch of other stuff off that was things I needed to do that were not really house related, like making certain phone calls and dealing with certain accounts and things. And then it just got all messy and somebody the cat rubbed against it or something and you couldn't read half of it. So I redid my whole whiteboard and it's all full again.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know what happened.
I love lists though.
Life.
So that's right up my alley, right?
Yeah, I know you like that. So that's where I'm at. And Clover created a vision board. Got
That's
some poster
awesome.
board out and they got all their goals on there, drink more water, eat healthier, stuff like that, do more writing. So, and they've got that up in their room with pictures on it and stuff. So that's awesome. So I think we're all on track. I know you got some hot sauce and it has a little bit to do with that simplifying that you're trying to do.
I do. Yeah. So hot sauce. And we've talked about hot sauce before being something that you're hot about, like you're either angry or you're excited or whatever, right? Well, this is one where it's a little combination of both, I think. As I mentioned, I am doing the whole simplify thing. And not to be confused with Simplify, but Simplify. I am simplifying my life. And so this week, I actually made some progress. As I mentioned, I did some research about my website. But one of the other things I did was I keep getting, if you save your passwords to Chrome or to Microsoft Edge, so that you don't have to keep entering your passwords every time you log into things. That's great. That works well. But sometimes those passwords are leaked and compromised. And one of the benefits, and to be honest with you, I don't know if it's because they're saved in your browser or if the browser is just notifying you that they're leaked. And so regardless, I save all my passwords in my browser, and every once in a while, I'll get a message that a password has been leaked. And I usually look at it, and if it's not an account that has any financial information or personal information like my social security number or anything like that, I don't worry about it, right? But if it's something like FAFSA or healthcare or whatever, then I will go change the password. Well, this week I went to go check a password that was leaked, and I had like 24 passwords that had been compromised or leaked. And so I decided, well, I'm simplifying. It would be good for me to go ahead and reset the passwords on those things. And if I don't use those accounts, if I don't use those apps or accounts, I should just get rid of them, right? So if I no longer shop at a certain store, I should just close my account and delete it and get rid of it. And if the process went well, I reset all 24 passwords. But well, actually, I had a couple of issues where I went to the website that supposedly the password was for, and I got a broken URL. There was nothing. So I can only assume that it was something that I used at one time that's no longer there. It's not available anymore. So those, I just deleted the memory from my computer and moved on. I couldn't even remember what half of them were, but I just had a handful like that. But there were some, like, stores that I had shopped at online, like when we bought plumbing fixtures or whatever. And I said, let me go ahead and delete that because I don't think I'm going to use that in the future. Well, it drove me nuts because some of the accounts, there was no place in the account to delete the account. And I would like search and help, how do you delete your account? And it would say, if you want to delete your account permanently, you have to email us at this address. And what a pain in the neck. And I did the emails with a couple of them, but on a couple of them, I just changed the password and logged out of it and then got rid of it. And, wasn't really deleting the account. So I feel like it's floating out there in cyberspace now. And if it gets leaked in, I'll have to change the password again. What a pain in the neck. So that was the annoying, hot part of it. But it was a good process. And so I want to encourage people to do that. I know, Priscilla, you have told me about an app that you use to make sure you're not like paying for stuff you're not using or something. Did you tell me about that, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, we talked about it a while back. It's Rocket Money.
Oh, that's
I
right.
think it
Yeah.
used to have a different name. I think they changed the name of it, but it's Rocket Money, and you can have a paid account. I just have the basic, which is free, and the free one is great as it is. It monitors you log all you have to get over, the the fact that they are in your business, but they have to be to do what they do. But you basically give them access to your accounts, and you can put all your credit cards on it and your bank account, and they monitor it. And it's free, just the basic, where it'll tell you, hey, money was deposited in your account, or if there's a transaction and they can't tell what it is, like if it's not, to the electric company or the gas company or the phone, or whatever, they'll say this is an undocumented or I forget how they say it. It's not named,
Mm,
so they don't know what it
mhm.
is. And they'll alert you about that. And they'll alert you if you have an overdraft or something. Sometimes it tends to be, it feels like it's a little behind the ball on some of them, but so it's good to have accounts where set up where your bank or whoever will notify you if there's something suspicious. But the Rocket Money does help as far as, they might say, hey, wait, you paid Verizon twice this month or something. They notice it notices stuff like that. So it's real handy and you can look
That's
at everything.
good.
It makes like little spreadsheets and stuff and you can sort and like figure out. And if you have a lot of like subscriptions like Netflix and so on, or whatever, they might have a suggestion, hey, our people can probably get this bill down for you because you have
Wow.
these. And if you have the paid account, that's not with the free. If you have the paid one, you can actually have their people negotiate your bills for you and get your bills down, which sounds cool and stuff. I just haven't signed up for that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so just look for ways to simplify all of that stuff and be careful because I one mistake that I made one time, I don't I have a business account. Um and I actually signed up for a free trial of iStock Photo and it was
Mm,
$49.99 a month. $50 basically, right? And I signed up for the trial because it would give me like 15 images for free for the first month. And I was doing a big presentation and I needed stock photos, but I don't typically use a lot of stock photos. I mean, there's so much free stuff you can get, like on Unsplash and all.
mhm,
I don't usually use stock photos a lot, but I needed specific images. And I signed up for the trial and forgot to delete it.
mm,
And I will say, Livia, my daughter, she is really good about that. She'll put it on the calendar if she needs
mhm,
to unsubscribe to something or delete an app or whatever. But I never did delete it, and it wasn't until 6 months later that I was looking at my checking account and I was like, "Gee, I haven't spent a whole lot of money on anything. I wonder why it's so low." And so I went in and looked at the transactions, and I see $50, $50, 49.99 every month for 6 months for something I wasn't even using. I forgot I had.
mm,
So I called them and asked them if they could refund my money, and they said no. I said, but you obviously can see that I have not downloaded anything. I did not. And they said, well, we'll go ahead and I think they split the difference and they refunded me like 3 months or maybe 2 months or something. They gave me a little bit back, but they wouldn't give me everything. So, but that's how they get you free
mhm,
subscription for the first 30 days. And I always argue with people. I don't want this. I don't, if somebody calls me and says, sign up for this, it's free for the first 3 months. And I'm like, nope, don't want it. Because when it starts to get charged, I'm not going to remember to stop it. Oh, but you could put in a reminder. Don't tell me how I can handle this.
yeah.
Just take my answer as no.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's my hot sauce for today is just look for opportunities to close accounts that are defunct. But I'm also hot about the fact that they don't make it easy. They don't
Nope.
make it easy for you to delete accounts.
That's for sure.
Very frustrating. Mhm.
So simplify, people. And today we've got a subject for our meat sauce that's near and dear to our hearts, especially my family's hearts. It's Library Lovers Month next month. And I'm a library lover, and I have two of my children work at libraries. I would say they're librarians, but I think that's an official title. They work at libraries. They have jobs in libraries, and they love it. And I think it's really cool, and I'm a big fan. There's a guy online, probably a lot of y'all have seen. His name is Michael Threets, like treats, but with an H, Threets. And he's just he's just a ray of sunshine. If you haven't seen him, go find him on, he spells his name different. It's with a Y, Mychal, Threets. And but he's all over the internet right now. He's all over social media. So you can probably find him pretty easy. Just look for library guy. He's
Mhm.
basically the library's version of Steve from Blue's Clues. And just the most wholesome, kind, genuine young man. Just he's a blessing to everybody who looks at his social media stuff. He's just I think he's making the world a better place, and I think a lot of librarians can do that. So we're
Mm.
going to love on our libraries today. So everyone knows what a library is and what it's for, but there's probably some stuff you didn't know about libraries. And February is Library Lovers Month. So here are some things you can love about your library.
Yeah. Yeah. First things first. And I told you I'm really excited because we're getting a brand new library very close to our house. And I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait. I said to AJ, I wonder how long it's going to take for them to build that library. And he said, I would say it would probably be ready by the end of the year. Now, this was in December. We were talking about this. And I said, really? And he said, I'm talking about 2024. And I'm like, oh, man.
Mm.
But I'm hoping it'll be sooner than that. It looks like it's coming up quick. But first things first, you have to have a library card. And so, like Arthur said, having fun isn't hard when you get a library card. Libraries still have tons of books, magazines, CDs, DVDs, and a lot more. And beside the usual or the old school as we know it, checking out hard copies of books and sitting in the library and looking at reference materials and magazines like we used to do as kids, there are a lot of other things to check out and ways to check them out. And we're going to tell you about those today. You can still go ask a librarian and you can still check out items or return them at the desk. But lots of libraries have kiosks now where you can do everything yourself. It's self checkout, and they're way more fun than they are at the grocery store.
Like anything's got to be funner than that checkout at the grocery store. I'll strangle those things.
Some people don't like that kind of stuff, but I get all excited. Woo! Self checkout, you know.
I love the one at the library because you scan your card and then you scan your books yourself and you feel like you're a librarian.
Oh, I know. Did you ever play librarian when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Me too. I
Have my face
remember
stamp.
mom had bought me some like books from the library, and I had a little date stamp that somebody gave me. And I used to take the cards out of the books because the library had cards in them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take the cards out and stamp the little card, and I would pretend I was a librarian. It wasn't my regular make believe that I would do, but I did love doing that occasionally.
Oh, one of my children, I don't know if they want me to name names, got an app for their phone that's a library guide for your phone, for your own library, for your own books. And it took them all day yesterday to enter all the books they have.
I want one.
I'll
I mean,
have
I
to get
would
them to
probably
send me
use
the
an
app.
Excel spreadsheet, but I like that better.
But it totally reminded me of in You've Got Mail, or not You've Got Mail, when Harry met Sally, when he goes over to her apartment and sees she's got the index card box with all her movies in alphabetical order.
Yes.
See, mom and them would need that. And they've got enough movies over there. They
Oh
could do
yeah.
that. I don't
And
have
they
that
do.
many
They have
hard
a list on
copies.
the computer of all the movies.
I do. I will say my DVD shelf is in alphabetical order, and I have a separate shelf that's for kids' movies, and that's in alphabetical order. And all of our video games are in alphabetical order. So there's a little librarian in all of us, right?
Yes, yeah. When at our old house, we had shelves and shelves full of videos, VHS, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, all of that went down with the storm, and we started over from scratch. And we did have some DVDs that weren't ruined by the flood. Those are all in a binder, in like a
Mm.
CD binder. But I'm not as organized about my DVDs anymore as I used to be. I would like to be. I'm going to have to work on that.
It might be good to have for the digital versions that we have in different accounts, because I forget what I have on Amazon, And I know
Yeah.
I've bought movies on Amazon, like online. Gotta gotta keep, maybe I should put a little paper into my shelf with the name on it, sticking out so I know where it is.
Sort of like when somebody checks out a book and they put a card in its place
Right.
to let you
Yeah.
know that book
Yeah.
is checked out. Interesting. Things are so different though now than they
It
were
is.
when we were
When,
kids.
yeah, when we were kids, if you were looking for a book, you only had a few choices. You had to go to the librarian and say, "Where do I find a book on turtles?" or whatever. Or you could go to a certain section of the library and look in that section, or you could search through that card catalog. Or remember microfiche?
Oh
Oh my
yes, for
gosh,
sure.
that's so much that brings, flip, 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 that brings back memories. But the nowadays everything is online, and you can go on the library website. They have computers in the library that are in certain areas that are just for the convenience of searching for what you want. And of course, they have computers you can sign up to spend time on and use for whatever you need them for, if it's appropriate. And you can get, you can sort of check out a computer while you're in the library and go use a computer. But there's computers in the library just for searching for books, and you can use your computer or your phone at home and go to your library's website and see everything that's available. And I like to kind of vary it up how I search for things. And sometimes that takes a little ironing out, because you can search by author, and different libraries' websites are different. They're not all, there's not a worldwide library site. So each area you live in, each county or parish or city or state or whatever might have its own system. And like for ours, when you search something, there's a big list on the side, and that's to sort things, and you can check off to help you find. And so you can use that library search and find what you want to check out. You can even log in with your library card, and they'll tell you when you sign up how you do your PIN number, how you set your PIN number up or whatever, or your password. And so, well, locally, here in the area we're in, you use part of your phone number to sign in with your library card number, which is a huge long number. And when you sign in, you can put a book on hold, or a DVD or whatever on hold, and then they'll put it on a separate shelf, kind of like when you go to get your takeout and you order ahead of time. And it's there waiting for you on a special shelf, and you just look for your name,
It's
or
really
you go to the
cool.
desk and ask them, and you can get, and then you don't have to go hunting for it, which is really cool. Or if it's something that's not at a branch close of the library that's close to you, you can put it on hold, and their little bookmobile will bring it over to your library and leave it there for you, so that you don't have to go, out of your way. So it's super convenient, more than ever. And or if you have checked out a book, if you went and checked out a book at the library and brought it home, and you haven't finished reading it, and you don't have time to go to the library to get it rechecked out, you can renew your books online. You just go into your account on the library website and you select your little books, whichever ones you need to renew, and hit renew, and you're good to go for another however long, because I know it's different lengths of time at different libraries, because I've lived in a few different states. So I know there's some variations in between all of that. But
Hmm.
also, if you go on your library's website, there are a ton of apps that you can use online to download or search right there on your computer, on your phone, and you can read books right there, or watch things or listen to music, all right there on your phone or your computer, and even your television. And those will help you get the things that you want. And it's really cool.
Yeah, digital media is the thing these days. And
Mhm.
some people like to hold that book in their hand, right? Just like
Mhm.
there was some movie that I was watching where they were talking about a physical newspaper, how they like to have a physical newspaper as opposed to
Mm.
digital media. But digital media is really cool, and it's a convenient way to get books and movies and music with the ease of a click. All you got to do is click, and you can do that right from your own home or wherever you are. Some apps let you look for things in the digital media section of your library's website, and those are apps like Libby, Hoopla, eCloud Reader, Canopy with a K, and Freegal, Freegal. Now, Libby, Hoopla, and eCloud Reader apps are similar to the Kindle app that you can download on your phone, and then you can have a million books at your fingertips, even when you're waiting in the line at the DMV. So how cool is that?
Or for an oil change.
Yeah. I have an app that I can download audiobooks, and I love it because I listen to the books in the car. It's really cool. But Canopy is a great app for finding movies, and you can even download them to your smart TV, or download the app, I should say, to your smart TV or streaming device. And then the Freegal app is great for downloading music. They don't have every piece of music, but there's a lot in there. And you can generally download like 3 songs per week, and you get to keep them.
Yeah, you should see my computer, the amount of songs I have that came off of Regal, and just tons of songs. And they actually send me a reminder. I got the app for my phone. I didn't know there was an app. I thought it was just like an online application. And so I used to download them to my computer, and then all of a sudden, just the idea popped in my head. I wonder if there is an app for your phone, because I don't spend as much time on my computer as I used to. And I looked, and sure enough, there is an app. Now, it's not as user friendly as one of the music streaming apps like the Amazon Music or Apple Music or Spotify, but it is still, functional, and it's really cool. You can find the song you want and download it, and you can make a wish list of what you want if you see more than 3 things in one week that you want.
That's
so
cool.
Next week you can go back and look at your wish list and download the ones you didn't get to download the week before, and it sends me a little, if you have your notifications turned on, I'll have a little thing pop up and says, hey, you still have another day to download 3 more songs this week, and you haven't done it yet, and it doesn't say all those words. It's much simpler, but it reminds me. So like if there was songs I wanted to download, and I honestly haven't downloaded anything in a few weeks because there just hasn't been anything I wanted to get, because I kind of got stocked up. Look, we have a guest in house all of a sudden, y'all. It's Diana the cat. Sorry for those of you who are audio only. You don't get the
Yes,
beauty.
you don't get to see the beautiful cat.
You have to go to the YouTube to see. But yeah, Freegal is awesome, and Canopy. I just want to say I have the Canopy app. I have Fire TV, and before that we had a Fire Stick, and having the Canopy app on there, you do that. It doesn't. It's not search friendly from the Amazon search, the Fire Stick search. So if you're looking for something, you can check on your library website to see if it's on Canopy, or you can go right to the Canopy app and search for it if you can't find it anywhere else and you want to see if it's there. And those on the video know that I'm trying to talk around a tail. But anyways, Canopy's really cool. And I think when we were talking about favorite movies, no, we were talking about favorite TV shows, and I was talking about searching on the apps for things. I mentioned there is an app, and of course, I can't think of what it's called right now, but there's an app you can get. You can search online and find it, that helps you search the apps on your Fire TV or Fire Stick or Roku or whatever you're using, and it does search in Canopy. So you can get that if you need a more comprehensive search and you want to make sure Canopy is included. But it's awesome. I know my kids have used Canopy a bunch of times for movies and TV shows that are real old and they weren't popping up on Netflix or whatever. So that one's cool. And so a new thing that has been happening that's super cool is a lot of libraries will even let you check out things besides books and media, like movies, magazines, videos and stuff. And you have to check with your particular library. And I know it's new here in the parish we live in, and it's only available at a few of the branches so far, but they're building up. They're working on it. And actually, I'm willing to bet that a lot of libraries would love donations for the program. It's a library of things. You can check out everything from small kitchen appliances like a KitchenAid mixer to musical instruments like a cello or a saxophone, or even tools to work on your car or whatever. And it's really cool because sometimes you need something and you're maybe only going to use it one time. And why? You know, you're either going to have to borrow it from somebody or go out and find a place that rents out appliances or something, or you're going to have to go put the money in and buy it and then put it in a closet for the rest of your life and never
Yeah.
use it again. Or maybe it's something you use once a year. You never know. Maybe it's a recipe you really need a stand mixer for that you only make for Thanksgiving. Yeah, So probably at Thanksgiving there's a high demand for the ones at the library, but but it's handy because then you're not putting that money and effort out. You just have to get it from the library. And also, if there's something you want to try, maybe you've always wanted a stand mixer, but you don't know if that's really a good investment, or maybe you've always wanted to play the cello, or your kid wants to play and you want to give them a chance to try before you go and spend the money on one. That's a great way to save money and try before you buy, or just get a brief, glimpse.
Okay, so besides all the great books you can check out and movies and things like that, there are a lot of other resources beyond those things that you can check out or download. So our local library has a lot of self-help guides on their website. The library website has a guide to help people find a job, and it even has links to career surveys like the ones that we took last week when we did the whole discussion about CTE. And we found so many guides on the website that we couldn't possibly list them all, but you can bet that if there's something you want to know how to do or learn about, there's probably a guide for it on there, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They have art, music, auto repair, animal care, and a lot more. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, I was overwhelmed looking at the list. I started scrolling and I went, oh no, there's so many things on ours. I was like, oh, I need to learn some stuff.
There
I need to
used to be
remember this.
it sounds like there used to be a company, and it might still have them, called fabjob.com. And FabJob had like any job you can imagine you want to do, there was a book about it. And it
Mm,
was a simple, you pay like $15 and you can download the book. And at the time, I was way more into print than I was into digital. And so I remember, I'm talking like 25 years ago,
wow.
downloading a How to Be a Professional Speaker Fab Job guide. And
And look at
so,
you now.
yeah, and I printed it and I used to refer to it like crazy. But, and I don't know if Fab Job's still around. I will say that they were wonderful. But what we just talked about with the library sounds a lot like that. And it's free,
Yeah,
probably, you know.
I did. Yeah, I did look through the job one a little bit, and there's so many resources just in that one link. There's a link, there's more and more links in there, but they break it down really nicely too, like in order of the way you would think, about going about getting a job and career training and different stuff. And it was really cool and helpful. And I was like, man, maybe I'm not a good enough library lover. But I'm learning things about the library I didn't even realize. And I mean, I kind of knew they had more stuff on there, but just never explored it so much as I have, preparing for today.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true.
Cool.
And I confess to you that I haven't been to the library in probably 10 years. The last time I went to the library was when we lost our house in Hurricane Isaac. So 11 years ago, we lost our house in Hurricane Isaac. We had no internet when we first moved into our new house, our rental house. And we had to wait because everybody was in the same position as us. You know, so many people in our parish were moving into the neighboring parishes and were waiting for internet to get connected and all that good stuff. And so we had to wait, I think 3 or 4 days before we got internet. But at the same time, we were dealing with this loss of the house and also had a kid in the hospital. And so we were needing to stay connected to the email and all. And so that was when we went to the library to check our email, and we haven't been back. But to be honest, the library is not super. The current library is not super convenient for us, and it just wasn't something we felt necessary. When I was in grad school, all of my textbooks were online. And the one or two that I couldn't get online were mailed to me. So, but I will share this with you. The library now going with the flow and having lots of digital media is so good because when I was in grad school, the only place that I could find a lot of the books I needed for my research was in my school library. Now, I could have also probably gotten books from my local library, but at the time I wasn't really connected to my local library. And I will tell you that when I was going to school for my undergraduate degree, and Priscilla, you remember this because you were in school about that same time, even though we were years apart, we were both going to college at the same time. You had just graduated when I was in the middle of mine. And when we would research, we would have to go to the library physically, stand at the card catalog, pulling or writing down book numbers, Dewey Decimal numbers, and then go and pull the books off the shelf, then go through the books, then stand by the copy machine, make sure we copied the copyright page so we could do our bibliography. I mean, it was just insane. And I'll never forget when my stepson, Tim, started college after many years of being out of school. And he started taking classes, college classes, and he was complaining to his dad and I about how difficult it was. And he said, you know, you guys don't understand because I am a father and I have 2 kids that I'm trying to raise and I'm working full time and I'm going to school at night. And I'm just standing there laughing. And he's like, what? And I said, okay, all of what you just said is true of your dad and I. We both were adults when we went back to school. We both had children we were trying to raise. We both worked full time. And get this, we didn't have computers. We did everything on typewriters and we did not have computers.
Don't even get me started about typewriters. I had a whole love-hate relationship with liquid paper.
Oh, Lord, right? I loved this electric typewriter when it came out, and we had that ability to make corrections with the backspace and all that stuff. Anyway, well, that's getting off track, but I just another testimony about how wonderful having digital media is. And now that the libraries
is really cool.
are on board with that, they have an even more library, if you will, of stuff that you can look into. I mean, it's amazing.
It's tremendous. And I tell you, when my extreme love for digital media from the library really kicked in was during COVID, because we used to actually physically drive to the library every week or every other week to get books and leave books. You know, we would go to check stuff out. We'd check out a movie for the weekend, you know. We went to the library all the time, ever since my kids were little. So, you know.
That's why they love the library so much now.
Yeah. Like
we did when my kids were little too, but when we moved and we didn't have easy access to the library, that's when things changed for us.
Yeah. But 20 years of me taking kids to the library on at least a couple times a month, if not, you know, every week. And then COVID hit, and the kids were doing school from home and they had to read. They were supposed to be doing their reading. And my one child, their school didn't have computers they sent home. The one did, but the other one didn't. So I had to drive over to the school to pick up and drop off materials with my mask and my gloves on,
Mm,
trade with the teacher, new stuff, old stuff, and then they would do some stuff on Zoom and they had to use the computer from home. And if they didn't have a computer from home, they had to borrow one from someone, and so when he needed, or either kids wanted to read, I would either have to pay and download to Kindle or whatever. And I realized, hey, the library's got some digital stuff. And then I learned, and boy, now it's like, it's such a convenience that a
wow.
lot of
Yeah.
times if I'm busy and I don't feel like going, because I used to really have a strong bias about having a hard copy of something in my hands. I love the smell of a book and I still love books. I think books are pieces of art, in my home. I have books on the table just to have books on the table,
Hmm.
but having that digital stuff right handy and I can just pull it up. My son just decided the other day he wanted to start reading an old series that we haven't read in a little while. He wanted to reread it. And I'm like, we have it somewhere. And I remember it's on the Kindle. So I have the Kindle app on my phone. I just open it up on my phone to read to him.
That's
I have two
awesome.
books for me on the same app. I'll pull them up, whenever I need to something to do for a little while and read my books. But if you thought all of that stuff was cool and was enough, just wait, there's more. Your local
Wait,
library.
you didn't say that right.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
wait, there's more.
But wait, I gotta do the long pause. There's more.
There's
Your
more.
local library has events, all kinds of stuff too. Then you might have some local authors. Use my proper English. Authors might come and do like a book reading, and they might even do signings of books. If you have their book, they might sign it for you. Or some libraries, especially during the summer, they'll have like a movie night. They'll have like a conference room and they'll have a screen with a projector set up or a big TV and they'll show a movie for movie night. And, it's a nice community event. Or they'll have educational programs where you can go and learn about stuff, all kind of stuff. I used to do a program for when I was teaching Zumba. I taught Zumba kids. I had a license for teaching Zumba kids and the all ages. And I did at least 2 or 3 summers. I did tours of different libraries in 2 different parishes where I went around and taught a Zumba kids demo class for the libraries at each of the different branches, sometimes twice. And that was really fun. That was part of the summer programs. And a lot of the libraries have special summer reading programs. So when your kids are not in school, you know, they need stuff to keep their mind active. So the libraries will offer a special challenge and you have to read a certain number of books and you can get little prizes. It's not usually anything big, but sometimes it might be something fun like a t-shirt or a little backpack tote bag or, or something like that. And some libraries even give you, when you sign up for it, they'll give you a tote bag full of stickers and coloring sheets and all kinds of coupons for restaurants that sponsor the library and different stuff, which is really fun. So look for that. And sometimes there's even adult summer reading programs and teen summer reading. And I know from looking at my library website here and talking to my kids who live in 2 different places that are not here, who work at libraries, there are so many other things. Like my one daughter handles the teen Dungeons and Dragons group. They do stuff with that. I've seen other stuff that they do, fun things. There's all these little fun things that librarians do to entertain us, and you need to appreciate and go check it out. Like if you don't know what you want to read, you just know you just know you want to read something. They might have blind date with a book.
Mm.
And they'll wrap the book up in brown paper and they'll put a few little hints on the outside, like this has romance and humor, or this has drama, or they might have a little disclaimers if there's some things that might be upsetting, subjects, they'll note that on there so that you know what you're getting into, but you don't know what the book is. And then you get home and you check it out, and then they leave a little hole for the barcode, and you get home and you check it out and you open it up, and then you're surprised. And oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was a book you really love and you open it up and it's just like the end of You've Got Mail. Hoped it would be you, Jane Austen. No, anyway, the Pride and Prejudice. Actually, that's not my favorite Jane Austen. My favorite Jane Austen is Sense and Sensibility, but don't tell her. Sorry, Jane. RIP. Anyways, but there's all kind of stuff, there's so many events, and I actually forgot, there was one thing I forgot to write down in my notes, but I noticed, and I didn't write it down because I was in the process of trying to figure out how you access it, and I never figured it out. So I'd have to talk to a librarian, and maybe, they have it at your libraries too, wherever you are. You can actually get tickets for local government funded things like museums and stuff for free. You can get like a 1 day, and like I think they limit how many you can get and how often or whatever, because obviously the tickets that you normally buy for those things help fund those programs, but you can get some like 1 day, like a 1 day pass for a museum, or maybe even national parks or something. But they had a info about, those on there, but they didn't say how to get it in the spot that I was looking, and I never did quite find how to actually access them. But if I know you can ask a librarian, that's always an option, right?
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Really cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to be a library lover, this is the way to do it right. You have to return your items on time or
Mhm.
make sure you renew it. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of libraries have the option to renew online. If you miss the due date, though, be sure to pay the fines. And some libraries don't even have fines anymore, but you should check your account and ask if you aren't sure, and definitely return the items as soon as you can. How many times I shared with Priscilla the other day, I think when I was a kid, I was such a rule follower that I would be mortified if I had to return a book and I
Mm.
was returning it late. I would be so embarrassed. But also, don't forget, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, definitely look into that. And I'm going to have to go check out my library's website. I mean, the new one's not open yet, but I mean, I could be planning ahead, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. I don't know if your parish has fines. Ours has fines unless they forgot to take it off the website, but they still list that they have fines, but they list them on the website specifically how much for each day that it's not checked out and when the fine begins, and all of that stuff. So you can find out the details. But sometimes you can get it in under the wire, and you might be 1 day late, and if you renew it, they won't charge you. Um, I had the worst happen though, and actually lost a library book.
Ugh,
Don't know
yeah.
what happened to it. And but I went and I paid for the book. I paid for them to get a new one. We never figured it out. I think something happened in between moves or something. And then I had another situation where I had baby brain because one of my kids was new and we were trying to bring stuff, and the kids were messing with the DVDs we had checked out from the library, and one of them was small. One of my other ones was small and did rascally things. That's a real nice way of putting it. And they put one of our DVDs that belonged to us in a case from the library. And unfortunately I got in a situation where they did not know what happened to our DVD and kept saying they couldn't help me. So I never got that DVD back and had to replace it myself. I had to return a a DVD with no cover to the library. So it's okay though. So it goes both ways.
Yes.
But one thing you can do to stay on top of all those fun activities from the library is if a lot of libraries you can sign up for a e-newsletter and get it in your email, or some of them still have paper newsletters they'll mail to you. But let's save some trees and get them in our email because
Yeah, for
most
sure.
people have access to that now pretty easily on your phone. So get that newsletter and you'll know everything that's going on. Another thing, I know this from my kids working in the library. Don't, if you look at a book and you're in the library and you pull it off the shelf and look at it, don't just go shoving it anywhere. Put it on one of the carts of books being reshelved, or turn it in the return box or something. Don't, well, it's better for you to just leave it on a table than put it in the return box, actually, because then they're going to be trying to log it in and it's not checked out. But don't go pulling books off the shelf and trying to put them back yourself unless you know exactly where it goes. You know, a lot of times if I'm not sure if I'm going to check a book out, I'll pull the two books that were next on either side of it out a little bit, or I'll leave a big space so I know where it was, and I'll put it right back, as you know, without walking off, so I don't forget where it goes. And if you know the little codes on the stickers well enough, you can kind of guess. But if you're not sure, don't put that puppy back unless you know, because that really it messes it up for the librarians and it messes up for other people trying to find it later. So
Yeah.
that's just courtesy. I mean, make sure you practice common courtesy. And of course, shh, you're in the library, be quiet. Don't make a lot of noise in the library if you can help it. And don't disturb the other patrons. That's always a good one. Have you seen that old Vine of the guy saying, "I like your accent. Where are you from?" And they said, "I'm Liberian." And they said, "Oh, shh, I like your accent. Wait." That's another thing. That make sure you pronounce library right. Unless you really like saying library, like some people. I don't mind. I say library. Sometimes I say library, but you know.
I remember like enlightenment when somebody showed me how it was spelled, because when I was a kid, I pronounced it wrong all the time. And then one of my teachers or somebody corrected me, and I'm like, no, it's library. I know it's library or library. I can't even say it wrong now if I want to. But they showed me the spelling, and then I was like, ooh, I never knew that. And it was like a moment of enlightenment.
A lot of words like that.
Yeah.
Like Hermione. And of course, like I was saying before, your library can help you with lots of things. So don't be shy. If you don't be afraid to ask, because the library, if there's no stupid questions, like mom always says, don't be afraid to ask. You go talk to the librarian. If you want to check out a VCR because you have a VHS tape and no VCR to play it on, and you want to know if the library's got it, you can ask them. Worst they could say
Yeah.
is, sorry, we don't, you know.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Yeah. And don't forget to support your library when there are fundraisers. So most libraries take donations of money, but they also will take some gently used books. And they even have book sales where you can go and buy books for like $1. Sometimes it's even cheaper than that. My daughter, so the library that exists now in our parish is connected to the high school. And my daughter used to go to certain classes in that building. And when we were running late to pick her up, we would tell her to just go wait in the library and would let her know when we were there. And she came home with so many books that she got from the dollar table. I mean, we had tons and tons of books from the dollar table. And sometimes I would be like, I can't believe you bought this book. And she said, oh, the librarian, because it would be something weird. And she said, the librarian just told me to take it because it's been there forever. And I had picked it up and was looking at it. And I guess because Livia showed remote interest in the book, the librarian was like, take it. It's been here forever or whatever. So she got some for free too.
Mm,
But yeah, pretty cool.
hmm. Yeah. That's how we ended up with so many and how my kids end up with so many.
Yeah. And you
Books
and
are
I have
heavy.
talked about the Symphony Book Fair too, which of
Oh
course
yeah.
isn't in support of the library, but it's a great place to get books.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
start your own library. I want to
yeah.
be like Belle and Beauty and the Beast and have a big old little the ladder and everything. You know, you go sailing across and
Yeah.
get your another thing you can do to help your library and love your library is sometimes you might hear when there's voting happening, there might be legislation that lets you or asks you rather to vote on things that involve your library, maybe the funding or whatever. Make sure you research that issue and find out how to vote so that it best takes care of your local library and go vote in the way that's going to help your library the most. That's voting is power, y'all.
For
When
sure. For
vote on the
sure.
library issue, you get to the polls.
Yeah.
I mean, vote on
And
everything, but
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And a couple of other things you could do is to follow your library on social media. I know I follow Renee's library on social media. I'll have to look for Nico's. But I follow Renee's library on social media and actually saw where somebody wrote a review of the library based on the blind date with a book
Mm,
night that Renee had done. And it was so sweet. The young person had checked out a young adult book on blind date with a book and was really raving about it.
mhm,
And also, speaking of Renee and Nico, remember to thank your librarians. They're great people and they're
mm,
creative and they're doing things to try to encourage you and your children to
mhm,
grow by reading books.
mhm. And they have an immense amount of patience. They deal with everything from little bitty kids running wild to old folks who don't know how to use the digital stuff and need a lot of
Yeah.
help. And it takes a lot of patience and they are happy to do their job. So give them some love.
Yeah.
Love
I
on your
think
library.
like National Library Month or Week is in April, and there's
Mhm.
one day in there that's a Librarian Appreciation Day.
Oh,
We'll have to
see,
look for that and send cards.
yeah, you could give a Starbucks card to your branch that you go to and say, "Hey, treat the staff to a coffee today or
That's a nice
something,"
idea. Yeah.
or send them. I don't know if you can send them flowers, but do something. Or get your kids to make a card saying we love our library and sign it. Little
That's
things.
nice. Yeah.
You can do something small. It doesn't have to be anything big, but if you've got the funds and the energy and the time, you can volunteer. Some people volunteer to read books to kids at the library I think I just said library. Anyway,
Well, I wanted
but
to add one
you
other
know,
thing, and that is, I worked in a library at Delgado for a short
mhm,
time, I think about a year, maybe not quite that long. But when I was young and I worked at Delgado, I worked in the library for a time. But also, I wanted to say, I was a document control manager, and I never thought about it until you were talking about earlier organizing digital media. That's basically what I did. It was documentation for an engineering project, but that's what I did.
mhm.
I cataloged documents. And so that's sort of like being a librarian. So I feel special.
You are special.
Yeah.
Don't make me sing that
Well,
Barney song.
or the one, my name is Tina. God created me to be someone special. It's how it's meant to be.
Y'all miss dancing and everything when you're on the
When you
podcast.
just listen, yeah, when you just listen to the audio, you miss us boogieing and everything.
But it's still good.
So, Priscilla, we are
Yeah.
changing the name of our sauce for thought. And
Yeah.
you and I both were iffy on the whole sauce for thought thing when we came up with it.
I kept
We're
calling it
like,
soup.
yeah, you kept calling it super thought. And we were like, oh, come on, what the heck? And I was telling Priscilla earlier for our listeners that I just have never, that's never sat well with me because I'm like, Clover does our sweet and sour sauce. That's obvious. We do meat sauce for our main
Mhm.
topic. Again, obvious. We do hot sauce for whatever it is that's making us tickled or
I
mad
see.
or whatever that's making us hot in some way. But our sauce for thought was just kind of, where did we come up with that name, right? And Priscilla came up with a really great name for it, Marinade. So
Yeah.
at the end of each episode now, we'll share some marinade with you. And you know what marinade is when you marinate steaks or meat of some kind, you kind of let it soak in and the marinade gets in
Mhm.
it and it makes it taste better. And that's what ruminating or thinking about something is all about. So sauce for thought is no longer sauce for thought, it's marinade.
Welcome
And
to Marinade.
Priscilla has some marinade
I
for
have
us
some
today.
marinade.
Priscilla?
I have some marinade, and I think this has just been going around in my head because of I listen to a lot of other podcasts. I listen to podcasts about people talking about their feelings about guilt and shame and stuff. There's one, it's called The Confessional, and I'm not sure if it's still ongoing or if it's ended, but that's Nadia Boltz-Weber's podcast. And I listen to that one, and I listen to The Office Ladies. And of course, the Office Ladies don't just tell you what happened on the show, they talk about everything behind the scenes and how they felt about it and everything. And I've listened to a bunch of other podcasts about other TV shows, and I listened to Ridiculous Crime, which is a real fun one. That one's funny. But that talks about people too and how they do things and why they do things. And so my marinade for today is um I've just been thinking about how our experiences affect how we live our life, how we behave, how we think, our attitudes about things, and thinking about how, some people are brought up in certain faiths, and they base a lot of their perception of the rest of the world on that. And people are taught certain things, or they're in an environment, maybe they're from a family of people who were really racist, and so that's what they're brought up in, and they don't know other ways.
Mm,
And I think a big step in personal growth is recognizing that those experiences, whether it was how we were raised, or maybe something traumatic happened to us, or there was a certain person in our life had a certain effect on us, that that can create it can create bias in our minds, and it can create discomfort in our bodies, and it can create um poor attitudes about things, or maybe good attitudes about things that we shouldn't have a good attitude about, you know what I mean?
mhm,
And and I know, there's the saying, we're not a sum of our parts or a sum of our experiences, but in a way we really do project our experience, and our 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 past, all gets projected onto how we live our life. And
yeah.
if you live your life a certain way for a long time and never examine that, and never say, was this, is this way that I think about certain people, or is this attitude I have about certain activities, or where did that come from? And I think therapy is a great way to explore that. And so if obviously, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier if you already have a conflict that's happening. Either you feel conflicted in yourself about something you're doing or feeling.
Mhm,
You can talk to a therapist, and they can help you work that out. And you know it's there. A lot of times people just think this is the way I am and I'm right. And they don't want to change their attitude, and that might take some kind of external force working on them, either a good influence or something, is the straw that breaks the camel's back, so they say,
right.
that sets them on a new path. so that they can learn more about themselves. But I really do think that personal growth requires us looking back.
Yeah.
And, it's always, oh, look forward, don't look back, but you can't go in the right direction if you don't know where you came from.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's the marinade today. I've been marinating a lot in that lately. So join me in my marinade.
Yeah, it's really important to um, uh, my therapist that I went to following the loss of my son. She used to say that she felt like at times she said, I don't even know what I'm here for because you're really good at self-reflection. But I think, talking to her forced me to reflect on myself.
Mhm.
And so, even if you don't have a therapist available to you, if you can't afford it and your insurance doesn't cover it, find somebody to talk to, because I think talking to other people leads to self-reflection.
Mhm.
And or if you're not comfortable talking to other people about something that's happened, talk to yourself or write it in a journal or something so that you can get those thoughts out of your head and
Mhm.
then read them back and reflect on them, because self-reflection is so important. Otherwise, we get stuck in these paradigms where we're doing things because that's the way we've always done it. And I'm not just talking about, processes that we do. I'm talking about personal issues like, putting ourselves down or things like that. Yeah, that's really
Mhm.
some good marinade. So marinate on that for a while, and
Mhm.
and let us know. Maybe you want to send us a question for our
Yeah.
episode in February. The episode that we're going to be answering your questions is February 18th is the release date of that episode. So please send us your questions. I have a couple that I've answered for people that I think I'm going to include because they needed an answer right away and asked
Mhm.
my opinion or asked opinion of a group of us. And
Mhm.
so I started writing those questions down because I said, I'm answering these questions for people because most of the time we live in an instant gratification world, right? Where everybody wants answers right now to their questions. And I think that's why we're struggling to get people to ask us questions, because if they were going to ask, they don't want to wait till February. But if you ask us a question, if you send us a question, we'll answer it right away, but we
Mhm.
just won't talk about it until our show in February. So definitely send us your questions and
Yeah.
let us know what you think about Priscilla's marinade for today. Marinate on it a little bit and let us know how you feel about how the things that have happened to you and or you've been involved in have affected your life. And do you have a question about that? How you can move forward? We'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what our topic is next week?
I forgot.
I know it's goal setting. So we're going to talk
Oh.
about goal setting and we're going to continue to revisit our resolutions. But it's interesting, Chris, because I read an article this week where it talked about how New Year's resolutions are goals and they should be smart goals and blah, blah, blah. And
Mhm.
you and I kind of
We
talked
did
about
the
that when we
opposite.
did it.
Mhm.
Yeah, we felt the opposite. We felt New Year's resolutions were open and more
Looser.
flexible. And yeah,
Mhm.
so we can talk about that a little bit on next week's episode when we talk
Oh, I
about
can talk about my whiteboard again.
yes, yes. I'll talk about
That sounds
cozy,
good. Yes.
which is where my to-do lists are.
Yeah.
Although I have to tell you, I like if I have a to-do item that I keep forgetting about, I text it to myself.
Mm.
And then I always am constantly looking at texts that I wrote to myself. Some people don't even know you can do that, but you can send yourself a text message. And I text myself all the time. And I'm constantly looking at my texts to see what did I say my sauce for thought was going to be or my marinade was going to be, so um, keep that in mind. That's a tip for you. You can have sauce for or you can have text messages to yourself reminding you of what you need to think about or do. So right now, text yourself what you need to marinate on.
Yeah.
And text yourself about getting rid of accounts you don't need.
And text yourself to send the sister sauces some questions. I almost said sensei
And
sister. Either way.
text yourself to celebrate Library Lovers Month next month.
Mm-hmm.
So this is great. This was great. I'm looking forward to our discussion about goal setting next week. But until then, make yourself a priority.
And take care of you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to keep up on all the latest sauce. See you next time.